We have a great day set up for today. So excited. I want to kind of start the day off with just a kind of a quick shrinking of the room. So this year's session is called Being Heard, right? See it up there, Being Heard. I add listening because it's one thing to be heard, it's another thing to hear. Right? We talk about student voice all the time, student creative voice. And student creative voice is super important, but so is student creative silence, right? And I don't mean that as a kind of reprimand, right, or discipline. I mean that they're thinking, they're considering, they're contemplating, they're listening. So I'd love for right now, just look in front of you, behind you, to your left, to your right, on an angle. Find somebody that you don't know in just basically like a minute. Just introduce yourself, and then just share one thing about why you love teaching theater. And choose who's going first. The other person, listen to it, right? Don't be thinking about why you love theater. Just absolutely listen to it, and then take that jump of improv and figure it out after that. Go ahead, take a minute. All right, has everybody made a new friend? Yeah. Does the room feel a little bit more connected, a little smaller? Great. That's my goal for the day, is that by the end of this, you feel like, wow, not only did I learn some stuff and get to play, but I feel so connected to so many other theater folks. Who here is the only theater teacher in your school? Raise your hand. Look around. That's the absolute majority of you, right? And you've got colleagues who have done theater or who might support you, might be allies, and that's amazing, or a principal in AP who know what you're doing also. But at the end of the day, it's really this group of people who know all the aspects that you go through. So that's why we gather in person. We have folks who are learning virtually also, and that's another way of learning. But ideally, we make theater, it's meant to be in person, right? It's why even when film and DVDs and VCRs came about, there was always still theater makers in person. So can we go to the next slide? If we only listened with the same passion that we feel about being heard. I see some heads nodding. I really want to encourage everybody to take this message to heart about our students. Over the last several years, we have rightly focused on student voice and being heard, and that is important, right? You're in this field because you want to make sure that every student knows they have a voice and that someone's going to listen. Is that fair to say? And that through theater, it's a creative way of doing it, even if it's in a different language, or if it's physically, or if it's sign language, or some other way to communicate, or drawing. But they don't always know that the adults in the space know they have a voice. And so you guys are the ones activating it. I want to encourage all of us to make sure that our students know that the other students have voices too, right? The peer thing. Does that make sense? Many of you are like, I do that, Peter. I don't need you to condescend to me to tell me what to do. I'm kidding. But, well, kind of kidding. But what I'd love you to do is just to, like, through today, really hear what your colleagues are saying, right? And if someone's doing a Q&A, I would love comments and Q&As to be building on what was said before, rather than what you're waiting for. I got my thing, I'm waiting for them to finish. Right, so what I wanted to know is, right, you can work that in, but let's see if we can just build information, build knowledge. Let's go to the next slide. All right, so I wanted to show you just a little video. Some of you might have seen this. Daryl, can we show the video? Can we bring down the house lights if it's easy enough? Just a short little thing about questioning.
To be or not to be. That is the question.
Sorry. I mean, yes. Yes, but if you don't mind a note, or. To be or not to be. Because it's the choice.
Try this. To be or not to be, that is the question.
No.
To be or not.
No, to be or not.
You know, look, to be or not to be. That is the question.
So
Just calm down, right? It's simple.
Or.
Don't lose focus. To be or not to be, that is the question. Yeah.
to be or not to be
That land on it.
No, idiots. To be or not to be, that is the question.
Lend me your ears. To be or not to be, that is the question.
To be or not to be. That is the question.
To be or not to be, that is the question.
Some of you have. That's at the Royal Shakespeare Company probably about 6 years ago. But I was just thinking about kind of that idea of listening and being heard, right?
To be.
And, all right, we have an answer. It is to be. But I think to be a theater teacher is also a question, right? Like thinking about why you do what you do. And there's so many demands on each one of you that the system puts on us, that parents have expectations, that students might not necessarily want to be in our spaces sometimes. Not every one of you is working with a classroom that is 100% ensemble focused, ready to go, right? And yet you do it anyway, because you know that that's what you're striving for. Striving for a space where we actually kind of emulate what we want to have happen in society. So I actually feel, and I might be wrong, I'm a bit of an optimist, I feel like there's a bit of a tipping point of kind of like saturation of media and people kind of going back to listening to each other and being in person and wanting to, and people are talking about it a lot. And so you guys are agents of change. You've been fighting this fight the whole time. I just want you to encourage, keep doing that, right? You know, to be the theater teacher in that school or one of the theater teachers.